So pudding Ryan, Rob DeSanctimonious, he was talking, it looks like in South Carolina here, and he was at some event, and he sorta went after Trump, not really, but a little bit. And the Trump people, man, they're like freaking piranhas. They immediately go for you at 1,000 miles an hour if there is the slightest step out of line. So here's Alex Bruzewitz, who's a Trump supporter. He says, Rod DeSantis just said that Trump should have come out more forcefully against what was going on January 6th. Trump was very clear when he said peacefully and patriotically. DeSantis is morphing into Adam Kinzinger, showing his true colors. Okay, so let's just, before we play the video, let's point out the obvious. DeSantis is right. He's obviously right. Should Trump have come out more forcefully and earlier, by the way? He sat there watching what was going on for hours before he said anything. But shouldn't he have come out and said, just stop. We don't believe in violence. We don't want to do violence. Go home right now. No questions asked. He should have done that. He didn't do that. He waited a really long time, and then he spoke out of both sides of his mouth. Okay. So here's what DeSantis said.
I think it was shown how he was in the White House and didn't do anything while things were going on. He should have come out more forcefully. Of course that.
This is the unforgivable thing. DeSantis is a resistance liberal now because he said that. So you'll notice that it's very, very small comment. Seems like they maybe took it out of context, right? So the DeSantis people chime in. This is the DeSantis War Room people. Team Trump lying once again and purposely taking Ron DeSantis out of context. Here's the full answer. So let's listen to the full commentary that he had.
You talked about the criminalization of politics, but you also mentioned it wasn't about whether it's right or wrong. Do you think that former President Trump's actions were wrong on January 6th? And separately, do you think that gay and transgender people should serve openly in the military, on a separate topic?
Okay, so the second one, we said we're not going to do the transgender or the gender ideology, and that's a mission readiness. That had been the policy prior to Biden. He's changed it.
But by the way, I love that. He says this is gender ideology. No, allowing trans people to serve in the military is just called basic equality. As long as you pass all the necessary tests, physical skill, et cetera, to get in. And he's saying, no, we're not going to do. All right, anyway, this is a side note. It's unrelated to the main point, but let's keep listening.
So we're going to go back to pre-Biden on the gender ideology for that. So look, there's a difference between being brought up on criminal charges and doing things. Like, for example, I think it was shown how he was in the White House and didn't do anything while things were going on. He should have come out more forcefully. Of course that. But to try to criminalize that, that's a different issue entirely. And I think that we want to be in a situation where, you don't have one side just constantly trying to put the other side in jail. And that, unfortunately, is what we're seeing now. So there's, again, someone had whispered this to me, so I'm sure I'll have a chance to look at this in the future, depending on the developments.
Okay, so there you go. That's what he said. He's like, no, it's not criminal. No, you can't have one side continuing to put the other side in jail. But should he have come out and been more forceful? Yes, that's his argument. By the way, I don't even agree with him. It's not like, oh, they're targeting him because he's the political opponent. No, they're targeting him because he committed like 48 crimes. That's why he's being targeted, and he should be targeted. The real bad precedent would be if you just let powerful people get away with any and all their crimes. And by the way, that is the precedent we've had to this point in this country. Plenty of war criminals and torturers and all these things in high positions of power and authority, corrupt people. I mean, the whole system is corrupt, right? I would like it if people who committed crimes go to prison. That would happen for any normal person. If you're powerful, you shouldn't just get immunity because you're powerful. Okay, so I don't even agree with him, but his point was clearly more nuanced than, that was clipped out of context where it was just like, you should have came out more forcefully. What he said is, Trump shouldn't go to jail, that, it's a witch hunt, but also he should have come out more forcefully. Okay, but look, the overall takeaway, though, is what? DeSantis can't even lay a little glove on Trump without the Trump people flipping out and without DeSantis immediately backpedaling. Immediate. God, it's so sad. It's so sad. Okay, but if that wasn't clear enough, he then did an interview with Tap Jaker, and look at what we got here.
Your chief competitor, the front runner right now, Donald Trump, says he was informed that he is the target of Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation into efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election, and Mr. Trump has until Thursday to report to the grand jury. If Jack Smith has evidence of criminality, should Donald Trump be held accountable?
So here's the problem. This country is going down the road of criminalizing political differences.
Did you hear the question? If Jack Smith has evidence of criminality, then should, they go after him and should he go to prison or whatever? Should he be held accountable? And he's like, well, we're just criminalizing the other side. That wasn't the question. The question was, if he's actually guilty of crime, should he do it? So it's so ironic because these are the guys who say they're tough on crime. I'm tough on crime. Unless it's Wall Street criminals, unless it's military-industrial complex criminals, unless it is white-collar criminals, unless it's political criminals, in which case I am as soft as Charmin. Jesus Christ.
Mr. Trump has until Thursday to report to the grand jury. If Jack Smith has evidence of criminality, should Donald Trump be held accountable?
So here's the problem. This country is going down the road of criminalizing political differences. And I think that's wrong. Alvin Bragg stretched a statute in Manhattan to be able to try to target Donald Trump.
By the way, would Trump ever do this for DeSantis? If there were potential, there was a criminal investigation into DeSantis and it looked like there was going to be charges, and Trump was asked this question, how would he answer it? You all know. Rob DeSanctimonious, honestly, all-time criminal, all-time gangster. He's been committing crimes for years. Everybody's been letting him get away with it. The media's gone soft on Rob, and I think Rob deserves life in prison. Many people are saying Rob might deserve the death penalty. Now, I wouldn't say that, but what I would say is there needs to be justice. There needs to be accountability for Rob. He's gotten away with it for way too long, Jake. Way too long. This is what he would do.
Well, even people on the left acknowledge if that wasn't Trump, that case would not have likely been brought against a normal civilian. And so you have a situation where the Department of Justice, FBI, have been weaponized against people they don't like. And the number one example of that happened to be against Donald Trump with the Russia collusion. That was not a legitimate investigation. That was being done to try to drive Trump out of office. And so what I've said as president, my job is to restore a single standard of justice, to end weaponization of these agencies. We're going to have a new FBI director on day one. We're going to have big changes at the Department of Justice. Americans across the political spectrum need to have confidence that what is going on is based on the rule of law.
Two-tier justice system. This is a two-tier justice system. It's unacceptable. Why are there two different standards? And they sincerely believe it's like Democrats get away with their crimes and Republicans get targeted for their crimes. This is what they believe. They couldn't be more wrong. There definitely is a two-tier justice system, but it's not in the way that they think. We have a two-tier justice system for elites and non-elites. That's what we have. Powerful people and not powerful people. Like average, regular, working people, middle class, poor, etc. They have one standard, and then you have the wealthy, which have their own standard. That's why not a single Wall Street fraudster was put in prison after the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. That's why we keep hearing these stories about Wells Fargo with a massive fraudulent scheme. Nobody gets put in prison, it's just a fine. Bank of America, same thing. Nobody gets in prison. If he gets put in prison, it's just a fine. War criminals galore, torturers, people who did illegal wars, all these things. Nobody gets put in prison, it's just a fine. Or nothing in that instance. When it comes to war crimes, it's nothing. So there is a two-tier justice system, but it's not what DeSantis thinks it is. DeSantis thinks it's like, bro, Democrats get away with it, Republicans get targeted for it. Hunter Biden gets away with it, Jared Kushner doesn't or whatever. Okay, no, first of all, Hunter Biden is facing charges. He is, right? So he's not getting away with it. Might not be as much as you like, but there's some accountability, there's some justice. Jared Kushner is getting away with it. Jared Kushner's taken $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. Nobody batted an eyelash.
This country needs to have a debate about the country's future. If I'm the nominee, we'll be able to focus on President Biden's failures, and I'll be able to articulate a positive vision for the future. I don't think it serves us good to have a presidential election focused on what happened 4 years ago in January. And so I want to focus on looking forward. I don't want to look back. I do not want to see him. I hope he doesn't get charged. I don't think it'll be good for the country. But at the same time, I've got to focus on looking forward, and that's what we're going to do.
I would be really, really interested to see where DeSantis would be polling-wise if he actually was a little more aggressive against Trump. Look, I get it. You have to get some percentage of the Trump base to be on your team in order to win. It's just the numbers, right? I mean, he's got over 50% in a lot of polls, so you need some of them. But the fact of the matter is, somebody like Chris Christie, whose whole campaign is like, screw Donald Trump, we don't like him, I'm going to be a kamikaze and take him down. He went from 0% to 6% in the national polls like that. In New Hampshire, he's in third place at 10%. He's seen a massive surge by doing this flat-out anti-Trump lane and being aggressive about it. Now, DeSantis is trying to do this, weaselly, waffly, like, I have a little teeny little crumb of criticism. But honestly, overall, he's great, bro. He's awesome. I love it. He's actually wonderful. And he's like, there's a witch hunt against him, bro. I would be very interested to see where DeSantis would be at politically and polling-wise if he was a little more anti-Trump, if he leaned into some more solid criticisms of him. It seems like every time he starts to critique him a little bit, he runs away from it, backs off of it, needs to issue clarifications, etc. And that ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. It's just not going to work. So we'll never know because he's not going to do that. Maybe when he gets more desperate, he'll do it. I don't know. But what he's doing right now is clearly not working. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.